Welcome to Rough Cut. I'm Hodge. I'm here today with Austin
And Chris.
Today we're going to be talking about Beasts of the Southern Wild. Straight out of the gate, it was one of the first films to be talked about and getting all sorts of buzz from the critical circles. It's an artsy movie with a low budget done by a relatively new director. The question I want to ask is, does it warrant all the attention it's getting?
I think it's a unique film. I love the use of the non-professional actors. I also like the way that it was kind of made out to be, a fantasy film. It almost was like a really edgy Disney film, and I really liked that aspect to it as well. So I thought, everything that was, like the whole sort of way that it was put together, the concept behind it, and the visual look, I thought that was a very bold choice on the filmmaker's part, and I really applaud them for that.
I think it is a good choice. I think it's a bold choice. On the sign of the Academy, a sign of progress that they choose a film like this with an inexperienced director, an inexperienced cast, and a low budget. And, you can feel the passion come off the screen. They built a world out of trash and nothing and really created something unlike anything we've really seen this year. I commend them for it. And to touch on one of his points, the unprofessional actors not only have the little girl Hush Puppy, played by just, a little girl with no experience, but the dad, the man who plays him, they found him operating a cake shop in New Orleans. I think that's pretty incredible.
So it was different. So it was unique. Does that really make it all that good, though? I didn't think it did. It was a cute movie, and there was a lot of neat, and original stuff there. But to me, there's so much of it that seemed eccentric and a little fluffed up. Like the portrayal of poverty in that movie, to me, was very sort of fantasized. I felt like it felt a lot of times almost an exaggerated sort of film school gritty. It wasn't like a realistic, harsh, informative depiction of how these people actually lived. It was more of, it was more stylized and, eccentric. And I felt that, the characters had a lot of individual passion, but the movie lacked a significant amount of momentum. And I think you can kind of tell that it came from a one-act play in that the movie not really a lot happens. I've seen other artsy movies at film festivals, and I felt like there's nothing really in this one that made me think it was noteworthy compared to a number of other ones I've seen, especially not necessarily noteworthy for Oscar purposes.
Well, I tend to disagree because, I know for a fact that these conditions do exist, and I know for a fact that people choose to live in them, despite how deplorable they may be. And a really good example, just using the movie, is Hush Puppy. She was born into these conditions. She doesn't know that there's anything else out there for her. And, a lot of people have that same, sort of life where they don't know that anything better exists. And so these are the conditions that they're forced to live with, and they become accustomed to them. And, so a 4-foot pile of trash, while it may be unrealistic to you, for her, it's very much realistic and something that, is not out of the ordinary. You have to also look at it from a point that, it is a fantasy movie to some extent, and fantasy movies have a duty to over-embellish to kind of drive home a point.
Do either of you think it's worth watching a second time? Would you watch it again?
Yeah, I think I would.
I definitely would.
I'd like to bring up something real quick. The claim that this movie, Beasts of the Southern Wild, has a political agenda, that it's a Republican fantasy, that these people are being exploited, that they like living this way, that they want to live in filth and squalor.
I definitely don't think there's any way that they did something like that intentional. It's a very humorous point for somebody to make, though. But that being said, I think if you were to look at it at face value and be honest, the movie is pretty irresponsible about some of the things it sort of has out there. You have these characters that are fighting against basically civilization. They get to they're living in the swamp and in impoverished conditions. It's probably rampant with disease and who knows what else. And we root for them too. We root for the Hush Puppy to remain educated. We root for that they can just fish in the bayou and get a delicious bouquet of food. It even has us rooting for them when they go to blow up the levee, and that's if you think about it, that's a little strange. It's a little irresponsible. I think any reasonable person would conclude at the end of the movie it probably would have been best if the state had come in and taken Hush Puppy away from her father. It would have been been better for her in the long run. But that doesn't make as cute of a story.